They came for me on a Tuesday morning, not with hugs, not with concern, not even with the decency to look me in the eye. They came with papers, a van, and a lie so smooth it could have fooled anyone who didn't know them as well as I did. My name is Evelyn Martinez. I'm 74 years old. I worked as a trauma nurse for 38 years, and I raised two children in Miami who apparently learned nothing about compassion or loyalty. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how it started. How the day I thought was just another Tuesday turned into the day my children tried to erase me from my own life. I was in my kitchen making café con leche, the real kind, not that watered-down nonsense they serve at Starbucks, when my son David knocked on my door. 8:30 in the morning, which was weird because David never visited before noon. Said mornings were for client meetings and property showings. "Ma, can I come in? I need to talk to you about something important." Something in his voice made my stomach drop. That fake cheerful tone, the one he used when he was about to ask me for money back when he was 25 and his real estate business was failing. "The door's open, mijo." He walked in with his wife Christina right behind him. Christina, who'd never liked me, who called me culturally backwards at Thanksgiving because I still spoke Spanish at home, who rolled her eyes when I tried to teach my grandchildren how to make arroz con pollo. "Ma, sit down. We need to talk." "I'm making coffee. You want some?" "No, Ma. Sit, please." The please sounded wrong, rehearsed. I sat at my kitchen table, the one my husband Miguel had built 40 years ago before the cancer took him, and waited. David pulled out a folder, legal-looking papers with official stamps. "Ma, Christina and I have been talking. We're worried about you." "Worried? I'm fine. My doctor says I'm healthier than most 60-year-olds. "You're 74, Ma. You live alone in this big house. What if you fall? What if something happens and nobody finds you for days?" "Rosa checks on me every morning. We have coffee together." "Rosa is 70 years old herself," Christina interjected, her voice dripping with false concern. "She can barely take care of herself." "Rosa runs 3 miles every morning and volunteers at the church 5 days a week. Don't talk about Rosa." David held up his hand. "Ma, we're not trying to upset you. We just want what's best for you. And we know, that you be happier, safer, in a place where there are people to help you. Professionals." My blood went cold. "You want to put me in a home." "Not a home," Christina said quickly, too quickly. "A community, a beautiful facility called Sunset Gardens. We toured it last week. They have activities, nurses on staff 24/7, restaurant quality meals." "I don't need a babysitter. I need my house, my home, the place Miguel and I bought when you were 2 years old, David, the place where I raised you and your sister." "Speaking of Sophia," David said, and I knew this was planned. "She agrees with us. She thinks this is the best move for everyone." "Everyone? Or just you two?" "Ma, don't be like that. Where's Sophia? If she agrees so much, why isn't she here?" "She's in Boston. She has work, but she signed off on everything." He pushed the papers across my kitchen table. Power of attorney, medical directives, admission forms for Sunset Gardens. What is this? "Just some paperwork to make things easier, so we can handle your medical decisions, your finances, make sure you're taken care of." "You want me to sign over my life to you?" "That's not what this is." "That's exactly what this is." My voice rose, something it rarely did. 38 years in trauma nursing taught you to stay calm under pressure. But this was my son trying to take away my autonomy with a smile on his face. Christina leaned forward. Mrs. Martinez, we understand this is emotional, but the reality is you're getting older. This house is too much for you. The maintenance alone. I handle my maintenance just fine. The property taxes are astronomical, the insurance, the upkeep. Wouldn't it be easier to let all that go, to just relax, enjoy your golden years? And there it was, the real reason. My house in Coral Gables was worth over $1 million, had been in my name since Miguel died. No mortgage, no liens, just mine. And they wanted it. You want to sell my house? We want you to be safe, David said, but he couldn't quite meet my eyes. How long have you been planning this? Ma, how long? Silence. Christina and David exchanged a look. Answer me, David. How long have you been planning to put your mother in a home and steal her house? We're not stealing anything. His voice rose, defensive, guilty. We'd manage it, make sure you have everything you need, while you pocket the rest. That's not fair. Where's the fee, really? Because I don't believe for one second that my daughter, my lawyer daughter who built her career on elder law, would agree to this. More silence. Then Christina made her mistake. She smirked, just for a second, but I saw it. Sophia has been difficult, but David has legal authority as your oldest child. I never gave David legal authority over anything. These papers will. I'm not signing them. David's expression hardened. The fake concern dropped like a mask. Ma, you don't really have a choice here. We've already paid the deposit at Sunset Gardens. They're expecting you this afternoon. Your room is ready. My room is ready? You already... The realization hit me like a punch. You already decided before you even came here. This wasn't a conversation. This was you telling me what you've already done. We're doing what's best for you. No, you're doing what's best for you, and I'm not going. Christina stood up. Mrs. Martinez, be reasonable. You're an elderly woman living alone. The courts will side with us. We have doctors who'll testify that independent living isn't safe for someone your age. You have doctors? You mean you already talked to doctors about declaring me incompetent? Not incompetent, just in need of care. The doorbell rang. David stood up quickly. That'll be the transport. Transport? From Sunset Gardens. They're here to help you with your transition and... Get out of my house. Ma, get out of my house now! But they didn't move. And when the doorbell rang again, David went to answer it. 2 men in scrubs walked in, professional, polite, with that practiced sympathy in their eyes. Mrs. Martinez, we're here from Sunset Gardens to help with your transition. I'm not going anywhere. Ma'am, your son has explained the situation. We understand this is difficult. My son is trying to kidnap me. One of the men, his name tag said Brian, exchanged a glance with David. Sir, did you explain to your mother that this admission is voluntary? She's confused. She has moments of clarity, but they come and go. That's why we need professional care. I looked at these strangers in my kitchen, at my son who wouldn't meet my eyes, at my daughter-in-law who'd probably planned this whole thing. And I made a decision. Fine, I said quietly. I'll go. David's relief was visible. Thank you, Ma. You'll see. This is for the best. I need to pack some things, alone. Give me 30 minutes. We can help. 30 minutes, in my own home. That's not too much to ask, is it? Brian nodded. Of course, Mrs. Martinez. Take your time. We'll wait. I walked upstairs to my bedroom, my legs shaking with rage and fear and disbelief. In my bedroom, I pulled out my cell phone, the one Sophia had given me last Christmas, with strict instructions to always keep it charged just in case. I called her. It went straight to voicemail. Sophia, it's Mom. Your brother is here. He's trying to put me in a nursing home. He says you agreed to this. Call me, please. Call me right now. Then I called Rosa next door. She answered on the second ring. Evie, ¿qué pasa? Rosa, I need you to do something for me, and I need you to do it quietly. 30 minutes later, I walked downstairs with a small suitcase, looking defeated, looking like a tired old woman who'd given up. But in my pocket was my phone, fully charged, and Rosa next door was already making calls. They might have thought they'd won. They might have thought I was just a confused old lady they could manipulate and control. They were wrong. I'd been a trauma nurse for almost 34 years. I'd seen people at their worst, their most desperate, their most cruel. And I'd learned something important. You don't survive by giving up. You survive by fighting smart. As they loaded me into that van, as David waved goodbye with fake sadness in his eyes, as Christina smiled her satisfied smile, I made myself a promise. I was going to that nursing home, but I wasn't staying. And when I got out, I was going to make sure my children learned the most important lesson I apparently had failed to teach them. You don't mess with Evelyn Martinez. Sunset Gardens was not a garden, and there was no sunset view. It was a converted motel off Route 1, painted beige, smelling like disinfectant, trying to cover something worse. The restaurant-quality meals Christina mentioned, plastic chairs and fluorescent lights that buzzed like angry wasps. They checked me in like luggage. Name, date of birth, medical history. The admissions nurse barely looked at me. Room 217, second floor, dinner at 5, lights out at 9. Lights out? I'm not in prison. House rules. Brian escorted me to my room. 12 by 12 box. Twin bed. Dresser from a 1970s garage sale. Bathroom so small I'd have to stand in the shower to close the door. Get settled in. Someone will bring dinner at 5. Can I leave? Go for a walk? Better to stay on the floor for the first few days. That's not an answer. Front doors lock at 6 p.m. for everyone's safety. They left. I sat on the concrete hard bed and pulled out my phone. Still no call from Sophia. Sophia, it's Mom again. I'm at Sunset Gardens on Route 1. Your brother put me here. This is wrong. Please call me. A knock. A different nurse walked in without waiting. Mrs. Martinez, intake assessment, blood pressure, medications, mental status check. Mental status check? Standard procedure. What's today's date? October 17th, 2024. Who's the president? I answered her ridiculous questions, proved I had a functioning brain, the whole time thinking, this is what my children reduced me to. Last question, do you know why you're here? Because my son is trying to steal my house. She wrote something without commenting. Someone will bring dinner around 5. After she left, I explored. The hallway was long, poorly lit. Most doors open. I saw elderly people, some in beds, some in wheelchairs, some just staring at nothing. A man in a wheelchair reached out. Help me, please. I want to go home. I'm sorry, but my daughter said she'd come back. That was 6 months ago. A nurse appeared. Mr. Peterson, back to your room. She looked at me. Mrs. Martinez, you should be resting. I went back to my room. At 5, a food tray arrived. Mystery meat, instant mashed potatoes, canned green beans, room temperature. I took one bite and spit it out. At 9 p.m., lights dimmed. Someone knocked on doors, checking everyone was in bed. I lay there in the dark, listening, someone crying, someone yelling, an alarm, nurses running. This wasn't a care facility. This was a warehouse. My phone buzzed. Finally, Sophia. Mom, what's going on? David said you agreed. I didn't agree to anything. He showed up with fake papers and basically kidnapped me. What? Mom, did you sign anything? Did you tell him he could put me in a home? No. God, no. I told him if you ever needed care, we'd discuss it as a family. That was it. He said you agreed. He lied to my face. Silence. Then, that son of a bitch. Sophia, I need you to get me out. This place is horrible, and I think David's planning to sell my house while I'm locked up here. He can't. It's in your name. He'd need power of attorney. He tried to make me sign papers. I refused. But what if he forges my signature? Okay, I'm getting on a plane tomorrow. First flight to Miami. Do not sign anything. And Mom, document everything. Pictures, videos, names, times. We'll need evidence. After we hung up, I felt better. Sophia was coming. Sophia would help. I just had to survive until she got here. The next morning started at 6 a.m. Someone barged in, turned on lights. Breakfast in 30 minutes, dining room first floor. Can I shower first? Showers are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Today's Thursday. I'd like to shower every day. House rules. I went to the dining room. Instant coffee and styrofoam. Something that might have been scrambled eggs, but looked like yellow rubber. I sat with 3 other women. None spoke. One was asleep, head on table. Another stared at her tray. The third ate mechanically. How long have you been here? Vacant eyes. Long time. Too long. Have you tried to leave? Can't. Daughter has the papers. Says I'm not capable. Do you believe that? Clarity flickered. No. That afternoon, I documented pictures of the disgusting bathroom, expired food, unattended medication cart, video of nurse yelling at Mr. Peterson. I wrote down names, times, incidents. And I talked to other residents. Mrs. Chen? Her son put her here, sold her condo, kept the money. Mr. Washington? His daughter forged his signature on power of attorney. Mrs. Lopez? Her family hadn't visited in 8 months. This wasn't just happening to me. This was happening to all of them. On my 3rd night, Rosa called. Evie, I've been watching your house. David was there today with the real estate agent, taking pictures, measuring rooms. He's already listing it? I think so. I tried to talk to him. He told me to mind my business, said you were incapacitated and he was handling your affairs. Incapacitated? After 3 days? Rosa, I need your help. Can you kick me up tomorrow morning, early? You're escaping? I'm leaving. There's a difference. Rosa laughed. What time? 6 a.m., side door near the laundry room. And Rosa, don't tell anyone. If David finds out, he won't. I'll be there. That night, I barely slept. I packed my suitcase, put on comfortable shoes, waited for dawn. At 5:45 a.m., I checked the hallway. Night nurse was distracted in the medication room. I walked quickly to the side door. The latch was broken. I'd noticed that first day. Another safety violation. Rosa was waiting in her ancient Toyota, engine running. I got in. Drive. Fast. She didn't ask questions, just drove. As we pulled away, I looked back at Sunset Gardens, that beige building that smelled like giving up. And I smiled. They thought they trapped me, thought they could warehouse me while they stole my life. But Evelyn Martinez Didn't survive 38 years in trauma nursing by being easy to control. Phase 1, escape. Complete. Phase 2, fight back. About to begin. Rosa drove me straight to her house. Not mine. That was the first place David would look. You stay here. I'll make café and we figure out what to do. Inside her kitchen, I finally let myself shake. The adrenaline was wearing off. Evie, you okay? No, but I will be. Rosa poured real Cuban coffee, strong enough to wake the dead. So, what's the plan? I need a lawyer, a good one, elder law. My nephew's wife is a lawyer, elder law, estate planning. Let me call her. 30 minutes later, I was on the phone with Patricia Delgado Chen. Mrs. Martinez, what your son did is textbook elder abuse. Can you help me? Absolutely. First question, did you sign anything? No, I refused. Good. Second, is your house in your name only? Yes, has been since my husband died 12 years ago. Perfect. David can't sell it without your signature, but if he's already shown it to agents, he might forge your signature. My stomach dropped. Can he do that? If he has access to documents with your signature, yes. It's fraud, but stopping it before it happens is better. What do I do? First, emergency restraining order. Prevent him from accessing your property or finances. Second, report the kidnapping to Adult Protective Services and police. Third, competency hearing. Prove you're mentally sound. How long? Restraining order today if we move fast. The rest, few weeks. And in the meantime, stay safe. Stay away from David. Don't answer calls. Document everything. And get a physical from a doctor. Independent evaluation. Crucial evidence. Rosa squeezed my hand. See? You're already fighting back. I'm tired, Rosa. I'm 74. I shouldn't have to fight my own children. No, you shouldn't. But here we are. An hour later, Patricia arrived with papers. Authorization, sworn statements, petition for restraining order. Sign here, here, and here. Filing these today. By tonight, David can't come within 500 feet of you. What about my house? Filing a list pendants. Notice that property is under legal dispute. Any agent will see it and back off. Also contacting your bank to freeze accounts David might try to access. She left with promises to call. I sat in Rosa's living room trying to process everything. My phone rang. David. I didn't answer. He called again and again. 5 times in 10 minutes. Then a text. Mom, where are you? The nursing home called. You can't just leave. You're not safe alone. Call me now. I deleted it. Christina texted, Evelyn, you're being unreasonable. David is trying to help. You're putting yourself in danger. My conscience. Like I was the problem. Sophia called. Mom, thank God. Where are you? I'm safe with Rosa. I hired a lawyer. Good. Mom, I'm at the airport. I'll be there in 4 hours. Don't go anywhere alone until I get there. After we hung up, Rosa made lunch. Arroz con pollo, plantains and black beans. Real food. You know what the worst part was? Not the food or the locked doors. It was the other people there, whose families abandoned them, put them away and forgot. Some families are garbage, Rosa said bluntly. My phone buzzed. Voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. A man's voice, professional, cold. Mrs. Martinez, Gerald Hoffman with Hoffman and Associates, I represent your son David. You've left Sunset Gardens without proper discharge. This constitutes evidence of diminished capacity. We're filing for emergency guardianship Monday. I advise you to return to the facility. I forwarded it to Patricia. She called back immediately. That bastard! He hired a lawyer to declare you incompetent. Can he do that? He can try, but this helps us, shows his intent. Not worried about your safety, worried about losing control. We'll use this in court. When? Filing for expedited hearing. Given the circumstances, I think we can get in front of a judge by Wednesday. 3 days? 3 days. Can you handle staying hidden? I've handled worse. Sophia arrived that evening, bursting through Rosa's door. Mom! She hugged me hard. Don't ever scare me like that again. I'm sorry, mija. David told me you were happy at Sunset Gardens, that you called him and said it was nice. He lied about everything. That's what he does now. Sophia's face darkened. I've been thinking about when he changed, when he went from my brother to this. When he married Christina. Maybe, or maybe he was always like this. Either way, he's done. What he did is unforgivable. We sat around Rosa's table. Me, Sophia, Rosa, and Patricia. Here's where we are, Patricia said. Emergency restraining order filed. List pendants filed. Adult Protective Services investigating Sunset Gardens. And I've scheduled you for medical evaluation tomorrow morning with Dr. Rachel Kim, geriatric specialist who does competency evaluations for courts. What do I need to do? Be yourself. Answer honestly. She'll do cognitive tests, physical exam. We need documentation that you're perfectly capable of independent living. And the hearing? Wednesday, 10 a.m. Judge Martha Rodriguez. Tough but fair. Doesn't like elder abuse cases. Sophia leaned forward. What about David? What's he going to argue? That your mother is mentally incompetent, that she's a danger to herself, that she abandoned a care facility showing poor judgment. He'll bring doctors who've never met her, but will testify based on age alone that she needs supervised care. That's insane. That's how these cases work. Age discrimination is real. We have to prove not just that your mother is competent, but that David's motives are financial. We can prove that, I said. He was showing my house to agents. Rosa saw him. Rosa, will you testify? Absolutely. Patricia smiled. Good. We'll also subpoena his financial records. Show the court he's in debt. Motive. My phone buzzed. David again. Mom, please, you're scaring us. Just come home. We can talk. You don't need lawyers. This is family business. I showed Patricia. Don't respond. Save it. Every text, every voicemail, evidence. He's harassing you, trying to manipulate. The court will see that. That night, I lay in Rosa's guest room, thinking about Wednesday. 3 days until I faced my son in court. 3 days until I fought my freedom, my home, my dignity. 3 days until I proved that being 74 didn't make me incompetent. It just made me experienced, wise, and very, very angry. David wanted a fight? He was about to get one. The next morning, Dr. Rachel Kim's office was nothing like the clinical, sterile places I'd worked in as a nurse. Warm colors, comfortable chairs, artwork on the walls. A place designed to put elderly patients at ease. Dr. Kim herself was in her 50s, Korean-American, with kind eyes and a firm handshake. Mrs. Martinez, thank you for coming in. I understand you're going through a difficult legal situation. That's putting it mildly. She smiled. I've reviewed the information your attorney sent. Today, I'm going to do a comprehensive evaluation. Physical exam, cognitive testing, mental health screening. It'll take about 2 hours. Any questions before we start? Just one. Are you going to treat me like I'm incompetent because I'm 74? Mrs. Martinez, I evaluate competency based on function, not age. I've had 90-year-old patients sharper than some 50-year-olds. Age is just a number. I liked her immediately. The evaluation was thorough. Memory tests, she'd say a list of words, I'd repeat them back. Problem solving, she'd give me scenarios, I'd work through them. She tested my reasoning, my judgment, my ability to manage finances. You're presented with a phone call saying your grandson is in jail and needs bail money. What do? I almost laughed. Hang up and call my grandson directly on his real number. It's a scam. Good. Why is that your first response? Because I'm a 74-year-old woman with a functioning brain and 38 years of life experience that taught me to verify before I trust. She made notes, nodding. Then the physical exam. Blood pressure, reflexes, balance, coordination. She had me walk in a straight line, stand on one foot, touch my nose with my eyes closed. You're in excellent physical condition for your age. Do you exercise? I walk 3 miles every morning with my neighbor, have for 10 years. And mentally, how's your mood been? Angry, hurt, betrayed, but not depressed or confused or any of the things my son's going to claim. That's a healthy response to what you've experienced. Honestly, if you weren't angry, I'd be concerned. After 2 hours, she sat back and looked at me directly. Mrs. Martinez, off the record, you're one of the most competent people I've evaluated in months. Your cognitive function is excellent. Your physical health is outstanding. Your judgment is sound. If your son's lawyer brings in experts who've never met you to testify you're incompetent, they're lying. And I'll happily testify to that in court. Thank you. Don't thank me. This is wrong what they're doing to you. I see it too often. Adult children trying to control elderly parents for financial gain. It's abuse, plain and simple. Back at Rosa's house, Sophia was waiting for lunch and news. The restraining order went through. David can't come within 500 feet of you or the house. He's also been ordered to cease all contact. He won't listen. Probably not. But now if he contacts you, he's violating a court order. That's contempt. Could mean jail time. My phone buzzed as if on cue. David. I showed it to Sophia. Don't answer. Let it go to voicemail. We'll add it to the evidence pile. The voicemail was David at his most manipulative. Mom, please. I don't understand why you're doing this. I was trying to help you. Christina and I love you. We just want you safe. This lawyer you hired, she's just after your money. She's turning you against your own family. Please, can we just talk? Just the two of us, no lawyers. I'm your son. Doesn't that mean anything? I played it for Sophia. Gaslighting, she said flatly. Classic manipulation, making you doubt yourself, making him the victim. Don't fall for it. I won't. I'm done falling for his lies. Patricia called that afternoon with more news. I subpoenaed David's financial records. He's $200,000 in debt. Credit cards, a second mortgage on his own house, unpaid business loans. He's drowning, and your house was his lifeline. So this really is just about money. It's always about money in these cases. The judge will see that clearly on Wednesday. What else do I need to prepare? Just be yourself. Tell the truth. Stay calm. David's lawyer will try to rattle you, make you seem emotional or confused. Don't let him. I've dealt with trauma patients bleeding out in my ER. I think I can handle a lawyer. She laughed. I believe you. That evening, Sophia and I sat on Rosa's porch watching the sunset. Mom, I need to tell you something. What? I knew David was struggling financially. He asked me for a loan 6 months ago. $50,000, said it was for a business investment. Did you give it to him? No, I told him to talk to a financial advisor, get his spending under control. He got angry, said I was being selfish, that family should help family. We didn't speak for 2 months after that. You did the right thing. I know, but Mom, I should have warned you. Should have told you he was desperate. Maybe if I had, you could have protected yourself better. Sophia, this isn't your fault. David made his choices. You're not responsible for your brother's actions. I just keep thinking, what if you had signed those papers? What if Rosa hadn't told you to call Marcus that time? What if you stayed at Sunset Gardens? But I didn't. I'm here. I'm fighting. And I'm going to win. She hugged me. Damn right you are. Tuesday passed in a blur of preparation. Patricia came by with a thick binder of evidence. Photos from Sunset Gardens, my medical evaluation, Rosa's testimony, David's financial records, text messages, voicemails. This is our case, she said, spreading it across Rosa's dining table. Tomorrow, we present this to Judge Rodriguez, and she decides. But Mrs. Martinez, I need you to be prepared for what David might say. What do you mean? In these cases, adult children get desperate. They'll say anything to convince the judge they're right. He might claim you're paranoid, that you're being manipulated by me or Sophia, that you've always been difficult. Let him. I've been a trauma nurse, raised 2 children alone after my husband died, and survived cancer. I'm not fragile. Good, because that's exactly the energy I need you to bring tomorrow. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the next day, about facing David in court, about what he might say. Part of me, a small, stupid part, hoped he'd apologize, admit he'd been wrong, choose his mother over money. But I knew better. The David I'd raised was gone. This new David, the one willing to lock his mother in a nursing home and steal her house, wouldn't suddenly grow a conscience. At 2 a.m., I got up and went to Rosa's kitchen, made tea, sat at her table in the dark. Rosa shuffled in a few minutes later. Can't sleep either? Too much thinking. About tomorrow? About how it came to this, how my son turned into someone I don't recognize. Money changes people. Sometimes it just reveals who they always were. You think David was always like this, even as a child? Rosa thought about it. I think he was always a little entitled, always wanted more than he had. But Christina made it worse. She wants a certain lifestyle, and David will do anything to give it to her. Even betray his own mother? Even that. We sat in comfortable silence, drinking tea in the dark. Evie, tomorrow you're going to walk into that courtroom and you're going to show that judge exactly who you are. Strong, smart, capable. And David's going to have to sit there and watch his plan fall apart. I hope so. I know so, because I've known you for 20 years and you don't give up. Ever. At 5 a.m., I gave up on sleep entirely. I showered, dressed in my best outfit, a navy suit I'd worn to Miguel's funeral 12 years ago, and waited for Sophia. She arrived at 8 a.m. looking professional in her own suit, briefcase in hand. Ready? As ready as I'll ever be. Patricia met us at the courthouse at 9:30. She did a final review of everything, answered last-minute questions, told me then to stay calm no matter what David's lawyer said. Remember, you're not on trial here. David is. His motives, his actions, his lies. All we have to do is show the judge the truth. At 9:55, we walked into the courtroom. David was already there with Christina and his lawyer, Gerald Hoffman. David looked nervous. Christina looked smug. Hoffman looked bored. David caught my eye. For a moment, I saw something. Regret? Fear? But then Christina whispered something to him and his face hardened. All rise. The Honorable Judge Martha Rodriguez presiding. Judge Rodriguez walked in, Latina, maybe 60, with steel gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. Be seated. Case number 2024-0847, Martinez versus Martinez, petition for emergency guardianship. Mr. Hoffman, you're representing the petitioner? Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Delgado Chen for the respondent. Yes, Your Honor. Let's proceed. Mr. Hoffman, make your case. Hoffman stood. Your Honor, we're here today because my client, David Martinez, is deeply concerned about his 74-year-old mother's welfare. And it began. Hoffman stood before Judge Rodriguez, using his professional voice. The one meant to sound concerned, but really just sounded condescending. Your Honor, my client is a loving son who's watched his mother's mental faculties decline over the past year. She's become paranoid, making wild accusations about family members. She abandoned a licensed care facility where she was receiving proper medical supervision. This behavior demonstrates a clear inability to make sound decisions regarding her own welfare. Judge Rodriguez looked at me. I looked right back, not blinking. Ms. Delgado Chen, your response. Patricia stood. Your Honor, this isn't about Mrs. Martinez's mental capacity. It's about her son's financial desperation and his attempt to steal a $1.2 million property. We have evidence showing Mr. Martinez is $200,000 in debt and was actively trying to sell his mother's house without her knowledge or consent. Hoffman interrupted. Your Honor, that's a baseless accusation. I'll decide what's baseless, Mr. Hoffman. Continue, Ms. Delgado Chen. Thank you, Your Honor. We're prepared to present medical evidence, witness testimony, and documentation proving Mrs. Martinez is fully competent. We're also prepared to show that her placement at Sunset Gardens was against her will and constitutes kidnapping and elder abuse. Judge Rodriguez made notes. I want to hear from Mrs. Martinez herself. Mrs. Martinez, approach the bench. I stood, walked forward, my legs steady despite my racing heart. Mrs. Martinez, how old are you? 74, Your Honor. And what's your educational background? I have a bachelor's degree in nursing from Florida State University. I worked as a trauma nurse for 38 years before retiring. When did you retire? 6 years ago, at 68, because I wanted to, not because I had to. Tell me what happened last Tuesday. I took a deep breath and told her everything. David showing up with papers, the 2 men in scrubs, being taken to Sunset Gardens, the conditions there, my escape, all of it. Judge Rodriguez listened without interrupting. When I finished, she asked, "Why do you think your son did this?" Because he's drowning in debt and saw my house as his way out, and because his wife convinced him I was an obstacle to be removed. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth, Your Honor. Mr. Hoffman, call your first witness. Hoffman called a Dr. Richard Paulson, a geriatric psychiatrist who'd never met me. Dr. Paulson, in your professional opinion, is it common for individuals over 70 to experience cognitive decline? Yes, it's quite common. Memory issues, poor judgment, difficulty with complex decision-making. And would you say that leaving a care facility against medical advice demonstrates poor judgment? Potentially, yes. Patricia stood. Objection. Dr. Paulson has never examined Mrs. Martinez. He's testifying based on age alone, which is discriminatory. Sustained. Dr. Paulson, have you evaluated Mrs. Martinez? No, Your Honor, but based on the description of her behavior, then your testimony is speculation. Next witness, Mr. Hoffman. Hoffman called David. My son stood, raised his right hand, swore to tell the truth. Then he lied. Your Honor, I've been worried about my mother for months. She's been forgetting things, getting confused. Last month, she left the stove on and nearly started a fire. I wanted to shout that he was lying, but Patricia touched my arm. "She'll dig her own grave," she whispered. "She's become paranoid, making wild accusations about family members. She abandoned a licensed care facility where she was receiving proper medical supervision. This behavior demonstrates a clear inability to make sound decisions regarding her own welfare." "Mr. Martinez, who suggested Sunset Gardens?" "My wife and I researched facilities together. We wanted the best for Mom." "And the house? Were you planning to sell it?" He hesitated. "Only to pay for her care. Everything would have gone into a trust for her." "Your witness, Miss Delgado Chen." Patricia stood, walked toward David slowly. "Mr. Martinez, you testified your mother has memory issues. Can you give me specific examples?" "Well, she forgets conversations we've had." "Which conversations?" Just various ones." "Can you name one specific conversation she forgot?" "I don't remember exactly." "So you're testifying about memory problems but can't remember specific instances?" David's face reddened. "It's happened multiple times." "You mentioned the stove fire. When did that occur?" "Last month." "What date?" "I don't recall the exact." "Was anyone hurt?" "No, but was the fire department called?" "No." "Any property damage?" "No, but it could have been serious." "So there was no fire, no damage, no emergency services called, yet you're testifying under oath that your mother nearly started a fire." "She left the stove on." "Or you're lying." "Mr. Martinez, how much debt are you currently carrying?" Hoffman objected. "Relevance, Your Honor." "Goes to motive." "Overruled. Answer the question, Mr. Martinez." David shifted. "I have some business loans." $200,000 in debt, isn't it? Credit cards, second mortgage, unpaid loans. Business is cyclical. And your mother's house is worth $1.2 million. Convenient timing, wouldn't you say? "That's not. I wasn't trying to." "Were you or were you not showing your mother's house to real estate agents while she was locked in Sunset Gardens?" Silence. "Mr. Martinez, answer the question." "I was exploring options for her care without her knowledge or consent." "Did you have power of attorney?" "No, but." "Did you have legal authority to sell her property?" "No." "So, you were attempting to sell a house you had no legal right to sell while your mother was involuntarily confined in a facility she never agreed to enter. Does that sound like helping her?" David's lawyer was on his feet. "Your Honor, this is harassment." "It's cross-examination, Mr. Hoffman. Sit down." Patricia wasn't done. "Mr. Martinez, did you forge your mother's signature on power of attorney documents?" "No, I never." "Did you attempt to coerce her?" "I was trying to make things easier." "Yes or no? Did you attempt to coerce her?" David looked at his lawyer, who couldn't help him. I asked her to sign." "And when she refused, you had her forcibly removed from her home and placed in a facility against her will. Would you call that love or abuse?" Objection. Withdrawn. No further questions. David stepped down, face red, eyes avoiding mine. Judge Rodriguez called a recess. We had 15 minutes. In the hallway, Sophia hugged me. "Patricia destroyed him." "It's not over yet." "It will be. The judge saw right through him." When we returned, Patricia called her witnesses. Rosa testified about seeing David with real estate agents. Dr. Kim presented her evaluation, declaring me fully competent. Sophia testified about David's financial desperation and his angry reaction when she refused to loan him money. Finally, Judge Rodriguez looked at David and me. "I've heard enough. Mr. Martinez, your petition for emergency guardianship is denied. Mrs. Martinez is clearly competent to manage her own affairs. Furthermore, I'm ordering an investigation into your actions. Forcibly confining someone without legal authority is kidnapping. Attempting to sell property you don't own is fraud. The DA's office will be contacted." David went pale. "Mrs. Martinez, your restraining order remains in effect. Mr. Martinez is prohibited from contacting you or approaching your property. This court finds no evidence of diminished capacity. Case dismissed." The gavel came down. I'd won. David stood, looking lost. Christina grabbed his arm, whispering urgently. His lawyer packed his briefcase quickly, clearly wanting to leave. I walked past them without a word. Outside the courthouse, Sophia, Rosa, and Patricia were celebrating. "You did it!" Sophia hugged me hard. "We did it." Patricia shook my hand. That was one of the most satisfying cases of my career, watching Hoffman's face when the judge denied the petition. "What happens now?" "Now, you go home, to your actual home, and you live your life. David can't touch you." Rosa drove me back to my house, my real house, the one Miguel and I bought 40 years ago. It looked the same, but I'd changed. I'd fought my own son in court and won. I'd escaped a nursing home. I'd proven I wasn't too old or too weak or too incompetent. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. Home.
The first night back in my own house, I couldn't sleep. Not from fear or sadness, from anger that still simmered under my skin. I walked through each room, touching familiar things. Miguel's photo on the mantel, the kitchen table where I'd raised my children, the garden visible through the back window. All of it nearly stolen from me by my own son. At 6 a.m., Rosa knocked on my door with coffee and pastries. "Figured you'd be up early. How does it feel?" "Like I'm home, finally." We sat at my kitchen table, the morning sun streaming through windows. "What now?" Rosa asked. "Now I decide what to do about David and Christina." "The DA's investigating. They could face criminal charges." "I know. Patricia called last night, said I need to decide if I want to press charges or just let the restraining order stand." "What do you want?" I thought about it. About David as a little boy, before Christina, before the debt, before the greed. About the son who used to help me in the garden, who'd cried at his father's funeral. But then I thought about Sunset Gardens, about being locked in that room, about the other residents trapped there by family members, just like David. I want him to face consequences, real ones. Rosa nodded. Good, he deserves it. That afternoon, Sophia came over with groceries and news. David's firm fired him. The managing partner called me this morning, said they can't have someone under investigation for elder abuse representing their company. What about Christina? She's filing for divorce. Already moved out, took the kids. Part of me felt bad for my grandchildren, Olivia and Jake, caught in the middle of their parents' mess, but mostly I felt relief that they were away from David's influence. Mom, there's something else. The DA wants to prosecute, not just David, but Sunset Gardens, too. Adult Protective Services found multiple violations: neglect, inadequate staffing, expired medications. Your case opened an investigation that's shutting them down. Good. How many people were in there? 47 residents. They're being relocated to better facilities. You saved them, Mom. I hadn't thought about it that way. I'd just been trying to save myself. The DA wants you to testify, not just about David, but about the conditions at Sunset Gardens. They're building a criminal case. When? Preliminary hearing is next month. Trial probably won't be for 6 months. Are you up for it? I'm 74 years old. I escaped a nursing home, fought my son in court, and won. I think I can handle testifying. Sophia smiled. That's what I told them. Over the next few weeks, life slowly returned to normal. I resumed my morning walks with Rosa, tended my garden, had coffee with church friends who'd heard about everything and were equal parts horrified and impressed. Evie, you're a hero, Mrs. Chen from church said over café con leche. I'm not a hero. I'm just a woman who refused to be a victim. Same thing, mija, same thing. One afternoon, a car pulled up to my house. For a moment, my heart raced. Was it David violating the restraining order? But it was Olivia and Jake with Sophia. My grandchildren ran up the walkway. Grandma! I hugged them tight, these babies I hadn't seen in months. We missed you so much, Olivia said, nearly crying. I missed you too, sweethearts, so much. Jake looked around. Mom said Dad did something bad, that he tried to hurt you. How do you explain to a 12-year-old that his father tried to steal from his grandmother? Your dad made some mistakes, big ones, but that doesn't change how much I love you two. Can we still visit you? Olivia asked, even though Dad can't? Absolutely, anytime you want. This is your home too. We spent the afternoon in the garden. I taught them about the vegetables, the herbs Miguel had planted years ago. We made lunch together. We laughed. Normal things, family things, the way it should have been all along. After they left, Sophia stayed behind. Mom, I need to ask you something. What do you want to happen to David? What do you mean? The DA is pushing for prison time, 2 to 5 years for elder abuse and attempted fraud. But if you ask them to drop charges, they might consider it. Why would I do that? Because he's your son. Because Olivia and Jake already lost their family. Do they need to lose their father too? I looked at Sophia, really looked at her. You want me to forgive him. I want you to do what's right for you. Whatever that is, I'll support it. I thought about it for days. About justice versus mercy, about punishment versus forgiveness. I thought about David at 7 years old, bringing me flowers from the garden. David at 15, holding my hand at Miguel's funeral. David at 23, calling me every Sunday just to talk. That David was gone. Maybe he never really existed. Maybe I'd just been seeing what I wanted to see. But Olivia and Jake, they were real. They were innocent, and they'd already been hurt enough. I called Patricia.
I want the charges to stand. David needs to face consequences. But I don't want prison time. Probation, community service, restitution, whatever keeps him accountable without destroying what's left of his relationship with his children. You're being more generous than he deserves. Maybe, but I'm not doing this for him. I'm doing it for Olivia and Jake. They've already lost enough. I'll talk to the DA. No promises, but giving your testimony and your wishes, they might agree to a plea deal. The preliminary hearing came. I testified about everything. Being taken from my home, the conditions at Sunset Gardens, David's lies, the attempted fraud. The courtroom was full. Families of other Sunset Gardens residents, advocates for elder rights, press. David sat with his lawyer, not looking at me once. When I finished, the judge spoke. Mrs. Martinez, your testimony has been compelling. You've not only protected yourself, but potentially saved dozens of other vulnerable adults. This court commends your courage. Thank you, Your Honor. But I'd like to say something else. Go ahead. My son did something terrible. He betrayed my trust in the worst way possible, but he's still my grandchildren's father. I don't want prison time for him. I want accountability, yes. Consequences, absolutely. But not destruction. There's been enough destruction already. The judge nodded. The court appreciates your perspective. We'll take it under advisement. A plea deal was reached. David pled guilty to elder abuse and attempted fraud. 3 years probation, 500 hours of community service at a legitimate senior center, and full restitution for my legal fees. No prison time, but a permanent criminal record. At the sentencing hearing, the judge looked at David. Mr. Martinez, you're receiving leniency you don't deserve because your mother asked for it, not because you earned it. You attempted to rob your own mother of her home, her freedom, and her dignity. If I had my way, you'd be in prison. But Mrs. Martinez has shown more grace than I would have. Don't waste this chance. David nodded, still not looking at me. You're also ordered to have no contact with your mother, except through approved supervised visits with your children. Any violation results in immediate incarceration. Understand? Yes, Your Honor. After the hearing, David left quickly, but Christina, soon-to-be ex-wife Christina, approached me in the hallway. Mrs. Martinez, I need to say something. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I pushed David to do what he did. I wanted a bigger house, a better lifestyle. I made him feel like he was failing as a husband. This is partly my fault. I looked at this woman who destroyed my family. You're right. It is partly your fault. But David's an adult. He made his own choices, and now you both have to live with them. She nodded, tears in her eyes, and walked away. Sophia put her arm around me. You okay? Yeah, I'm okay. It's over. Not quite. The Sunset Gardens trial is in 3 months. And there's something else. The media wants to interview you. Your story's been picked up nationally. Grandmother escapes nursing home, fights son in court. You're kind of famous. I don't want to be famous. I know, but Mom, think about how many other people are in situations like yours. How many elderly people being abused by family. Your story could help them. She was right. Over the next few months, I did interviews, local news, national news, even a segment on 60 Minutes. I talked about elder abuse, warning signs, how to protect yourself. Letters started arriving, hundreds of them, from seniors who'd been manipulated by family, from adult children who saw themselves in my story and were ashamed, from advocates thanking me for speaking up. I became, accidentally, an advocate. I spoke at senior centers, testified before state legislature about nursing home regulations, helped other families navigate elder abuse cases, all because I'd refused to be a victim. One evening, 6 months after it all started, I sat on my porch watching the sunset. My porch, my house, my life. Rosa came over with wine. To you, she said, raising her glass, the bravest woman I know. I'm not brave. I'm just stubborn. Same thing. We drank to that, to stubbornness, to survival, to fighting back. My phone buzzed. A text from Olivia. Grandma, can we come over this weekend? We miss you. I smiled and typed back. Always. This is your home too. Because that's what this whole fight had been about. Not just the house, but home, family, legacy. David had tried to take it all away. But he failed. And I was still standing. A year after that Tuesday morning when David tried to steal my life, I woke up in my own bed, in my own house, and smiled. The Sunset Gardens trial had ended 6 months ago. The facility was shut down permanently. The owners faced criminal charges. 47 residents had been relocated to better facilities, and 3 families had reached out to thank me personally. David's probation was ongoing. He'd completed 200 hours of community service so far, working at a legitimate senior center where, ironically, he was learning what actual elder care looked like. We hadn't spoken since the sentencing. The restraining order allowed supervised visits with Olivia and Jake, which happened twice a month at Sophia's house. I didn't attend, wasn't ready for that yet. Maybe someday. Maybe never. I was okay with either outcome. Christina had moved to Orlando with the new boyfriend. She sent a Christmas card with a generic apology. I threw it away. But Olivia and Jake, they visited every weekend. We cooked together, worked in the garden, talked about school and friends and life. They were healing. So was I. That morning, Rosa came over with coffee as usual. "Big day today," she said. Big day. The state legislature was voting on the Elder Protection Act, a bill inspired by my case that would strengthen protections for seniors, increase nursing home oversight, and create harsher penalties for elder abuse. I'd testified during committee hearings, told my story again, watched legislators take notes, ask questions, promise action. And today, they'd vote. Sophia picked me up at noon. We drove to the state capitol with Rosa, Patricia, and a dozen other families who'd been affected by elder abuse. The gallery was packed. Press, advocates, seniors, families, all waiting. When the vote started, I held my breath. All in favor? A chorus of aye. All opposed? Silence. The bill passes unanimously. The gallery erupted in applause. People were crying, hugging, celebrating. I just sat there, letting it sink in. 1 year ago, I was locked in a nursing home, powerless, voiceless. Now I'd help change state law. After the vote, reporters surrounded me. "Mrs. Martinez, how does it feel to know you've made such an impact?" It feels like justice, not just for me, but for everyone who's been silenced. What would you say to other seniors facing similar situations? Fight back. Don't let anyone, not even family, make you feel powerless. You have rights. Use them. And what would you say to your son? I paused, thought about David, about the boy he'd been and the man he'd become. I'd say I hope he learns from this. I hope he becomes someone his children can be proud of. But that's his journey, not mine. That evening, back at my house, I sat on the porch with Rosa and Sophia. The sun was setting over my garden, the garden Miguel had planted, that I'd maintained, that Olivia and Jake were learning to tend. "Mom," Sophia said quietly, "I'm proud of you. In case I haven't said that enough." "You've said it plenty." "No, I mean it. You could have given up, could have stayed at Sunset Gordon's, could have let David win, but you didn't. You fought, and you won, and now you're helping other people fight too." "I didn't do it alone." "No, but you started it. You're the one who refused to be a victim." Rosa raised her glass of wine. "To Evelyn Martinez, who proved that 74 is not too old to fight back." We drank to that. Later, alone in my house, I pulled out a photo album. Pictures of David as a child, David with Miguel, David graduating college. I still loved that boy. Probably always would. But I learned something important this past year. Loving someone doesn't mean letting them hurt you. Protecting yourself isn't betrayal. Setting boundaries isn't cruelty. It's survival. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Mrs. Martinez, my name is Helen Chen. I'm 71. My daughter just tried to make me sign over my house. I saw your interview on TV. Because of you, I said no. Because of you, I called a lawyer. Thank you for showing me I'm not alone. I read it twice, tears in my eyes. This was why I'd fought so hard. Not just for myself, for Helen, for all the Helens out there who needed to know they had power. I texted back, "You're not alone. Stay strong, fight back." Then I turned off my phone, made myself tea, and sat in Miguel's old chair on the porch. The stars were coming out. The night was warm. My house, my home, was safe. I'd survived. More than survived. I'd won. And at 75 years old, I was just getting started. Epilogue. If you're watching this, you've heard my story. Maybe you think I'm brave. Maybe you think I'm just stubborn. Maybe it's both. Here's what I want you to understand. Age doesn't make you weak. It makes you experienced, and experience is power. If you're a senior facing abuse from family, from caregivers, from anyone, know this. You have rights. You have options. You have power. Don't sign anything you don't understand. Don't let anyone bully you. Don't be ashamed to ask for help. And if you're a family member watching this, thinking about your elderly parents or grandparents, treat them with dignity. They've earned it. They're not obstacles. They're not burdens. They're human beings who deserve respect. Drop a comment below. Have you or someone you know faced elder abuse? Let's share our stories. Let's protect each other. Hit subscribe for more real stories about standing up, fighting back, and refusing to be a victim, no matter your age. Remember, you're never too old to fight for what's yours. I proved it, and so can you.